what is resilience? They all say bounce back. Well, that's fine if you're a willow tree or if you're a piece of steel, because actually the dictionary says it's an object which, when compressed under stress, when the stress is off, it returns back to the original position. Human beings don't go back. We're not going to go back. In fact, I actually kind of do not like even the term the new normal, because I think that implies static. We are not the same people today that we were yesterday. So to me, resilience is all about growth. How do I grow through challenge or opportunity so that I end up better, smarter, wiser, and or stronger on the other side? So it's all about, to me, it's all about growth. The other thing to me about resiliency is energy management. Do I have the mental, emotional, physical energy to keep on keeping on? And so at the end of the day, cultivating resilience is all about understanding and growing those skill sets that allow me to either get energy or to figure out what the heck is depleting it and see how I can alter that. The other, notice that I said the word is cultivate. I think that resilience is a life skill. It's something that we work on daily. And that idea of cultivating, if you think about cultivating a field, you first have to till the soil. So we have to kind of till our own soil. What's here? Where do I need to weed? What are some of the things that are depleting my energy now for me? And then when you cultivate, you till, you feed, you seed, and you water, so that over time, whatever you're planting grows. So to me, this is an ongoing practice. What's fascinating is that actually, and it's one of the reasons I have to go at 9 o'clock, is that I'm doing 2 small video segments for a colleague out of Canada who has a large healthcare consulting practice. And he is creating something called Caregiver Heroes. And he has asked a number of us to do some little video segments that he can put out to his university caregivers. And I said I would do 2. I would do one for the rank and file. I'll do another one for leaders. And what I want the leaders to understand is that one of their roles when we're in a place like this is to be hope masters, hope merchants, which means that helping people see that as difficult as the challenges are right now, there's always possibility. And you all know that the Chinese character for crisis is made up of danger and opportunity. So there's something called Stockdale Paradox. It's when James Stockdale, who was an Air Force pilot shot down during Vietnam and for 6 years was a prisoner of war. When he came back, he said the prisoners who survived had 2 very different thoughts that they could carry in their head at the same time. One was, this is brutal, horrible, it is a terrible experience. The other thought was, and I shall get through this. And it is that I shall get through this, which is where I think, particularly given now, is I might have these 2 very opposite thoughts, but my concentration is on how shall I get through this? And I think that there are 4 resiliency skills with different components underneath them. The first one is adaptability. Now we all know adaptability, okay, I have to find another way of responding. What I think makes that word powerful are 2 other words: requisite variety. Requisite variety comes from the field of biology, and it says that the organism with the greatest number of responses is the one that survives. It's not the strongest. It's the one with the greatest number of options. So when we look at our own lives, when perhaps we're looking at our teammates that we're trying to help or people who are trying to coach and counsel, what we want to do is help people find how many different ways can I respond to a situation, which actually I think is, in one way, is one of the benefits of what we're doing, what we're experiencing right now, is that we're going to learn some different ways of responding in this notion of pandemic. And there was a fascinating article today in the Los Angeles Times about how architecture has changed over the centuries when there were in fact pandemics, because people learned how to create cities that worked better, that were not on top of one another, different ways of handling all different kinds of things. So adaptability says, how can I find different ways of responding? You and I both know what keeps us back sometimes from being adaptable are these thoughts in our head. There's negativity. Oh my God, this is terrible, horrible. This is horrible. So we do this whole negative self-talk. So part of the thing of helping ourselves and others is, what is it that I'm saying to myself that makes me Debbie Downer instead of seeing another way through this? In fact, one of the things I'm going to suggest to these healthcare workers this afternoon when I create the video is that we begin to look at our language. And language in our head and then out of our mouth creates our emotions and our behaviors. So I think one of the most powerful tools to practice, to cultivate over and over again, is to change the word have to choose to. When I say I choose to, I'm in control instead of someone else. I did not have to do this today. This is my choice. You did not have to pop on this call today. This was your choice. And when I realize that I have choices, then I begin to say, okay, are these wise choices for me? The other thing about being adaptable is being able to develop a mindset of intelligent optimism. And intelligent optimism is where you reframe what's going on in a way so that you see possibilities instead of not. In fact, that's what Stockdale talked about when he got back after 6 years as a prisoner of war, is that the prisoners who had this other way of looking at something said, what is possible? I will come out of this, I will be strong. This is going to test me and I can make it through this. So adaptability is critical. It also means to be adaptable. It also means we need to learn to listen and ask for input from other people. I think one of the things, the situation we're in right now, is it rips away the facade of so many people and we begin to see who they really are. We begin to see people who might have leadership titles, but are absolutely useless as leaders. They don't do the behavior. And there are other people that we can learn from. So my willingness to find out what other people know that I don't know gives me a wider framework from which I can potentially find more responses to a given situation. So adaptability is the first skill. The second one is agility. Agility is speed coupled by wisdom. It's action. And I created this sentence, which I'm finding people are saying a lot, and it's helpful to them, that action is the antidote for anxiety. I can find small ways to begin to move forward, to put anything into action. I know when 9/11 hit here in the States, many of us initially were like frozen. And so what can you put into action? All of my work disappeared. I told clients, you need me now more than ever. Their law firms would say, no, you're not allowed to fly. I said, I'm not afraid to fly. Bring me in. Let me fly. And I said, no, you can't do it. So what actions can I take? I discovered one of the best actions, and maybe you find this too, is to put my physical body into motion. I can at least see some results with my physical body, which is why to this day, before I could get on this call with you guys, I had to go do a really quick run so that my mind was kind of clear. So what are the actions that you can take? The small goals that you can help people set, not big things. I also think that sometimes we set ourselves up to huge expectations and get discouraged. But if we can start with small things, I believe an inch is a cinch. A mile takes a while. So perhaps what are some of the small things that I could do? And certainly right now we've been given this space to experiment with small ways of staying connected, which is absolutely critical within these times. So you have adaptability, agility. The other two skills are laughability and alignment. I think laughter is an incredible resiliency skill. How many of you know that you're seeing stuff that comes to you over email that's just designed to make you laugh? With all of this crazy stuff that's going on, you have to laugh. I have a friend who said, this is not a pandemic, it's a poundemic. I'm eating my way through the refrigerator, which made us all laugh. But the way that we can create a sense of humor, because what humor is perspective. It tells us what really is important. Here in the States, Abraham Lincoln was known for saying in the middle of the Civil War, which for us, we lost 750,000 people in America with the Civil War. 750,000 people. And Lincoln was known for having just a wry sense of humor. And he said, if I don't laugh, I will cry. So how do we help people find things that they can laugh about? I'm always collecting crazy things and I just post them up and I use them on slide decks. I had some friends from Australia just sent me two things. The Australians have wonderful dry senses of humor. And one was a billboard and it said, this year, 1,000 men will die from stubbornness. And somebody had spray painted over it, no, we won't. And I think it was probably a test for a colonoscopy or something. And they sent me another one, it was a whiteboard, and it said, psychic fair canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. So I'm not going to go that psychic fair. So you have adaptability, agility, laughability, and the fourth one is alignment. And alignment to me is, am I involved somewhere in my personal and professional life with something that gives me meaning and purpose? I'm seeing more of that in businesses now, that it's not enough just to work for somebody. I want to know that what I'm going to do matters. And having that sense of purpose, big or small, I think is critical to be able to go through whatever is in front of us, whether it is crisis or whether it's opportunity. So that's kind of my philosophy in a nutshell. And with that, I will stop talking and let's see what kind of conversations we can have. Well, remember, my definition of alignment is finding a purpose bigger than yourself and realizing that you don't walk this world alone. That, that old saying that my freedom ends at your nose. I don't have the right to punch you. That's where it is. And so I'm if you go to my Facebook page, Tim, Eileen McDargh, just not the professional page, but the personal page.
Okay.
And if you scroll down far enough, about 3 days ago, I posted a letter that a colleague sent to me that was written by a nurse in Wisconsin when they had that big protest at the Capitol. It was one of the most powerful pieces of writing I've seen. They called that stuff Make a Difference. And she wrote, and if I can capsulize this, she said, yeah, you made a difference. You blocked all the traffic off so no one could get into the hospital. Do you know what it's like if someone has got to have dialysis and they can't get in for 2 and 3 hours? Do you know what happens to them? Oh yeah, you made a difference. Do you know what happens when she itemized everything what happens because their selfishness, all right, so you want to go, their selfishness had implications for many people. She concluded by saying, and oh yes, and she used some 4-letter words, which actually I can't blame her, I probably would too. And she said, and now I'm getting ready to go on my 5th 12-hour shift to take care of the people who come in because they have caught it from people like you. It was so powerful. And I think that when we realize that we hold right now, because we don't know the extent of this virus, we don't know who can carry it, and some of us are asymptomatic, we will never know, that how would you feel if you knew that your friend over there, your buddy that sits, in PE with you, or, you play on the baseball team, that you gave that to him? So it might at least open up some different conversations. Viktor Frankl, from the Holocaust, that one classic line, and he said, man, and I'll add, or woman, can survive any what if you have a why. Mm-hmm. When you lose your why, you lose your way. When you lose your why, you lose your way. And the why doesn't have to be, I'm not going to change the world. But if we, even in daily life, I think that might be one of the things to me that I've really been meditating and thinking about is some of the small whys, or how can we right now reach out to other people in care and compassion. The other day, there's all this talk about Trump wants to, close down the post office. Well, thank you very much. And there are people who the only thing they get in the course of the day is what comes into that mailbox. It's the letters, it's the cards. And the post office was created by Congress, so they can't even run like a business. So it's really hard to say, you're terrible, horrible. And so I know how hard they all work. So I went to the post office here locally, and I said, would you be able, and by the way, you've probably seen it, they've got a plastic sheet up here, then they got another plastic sheet over here, and they're wearing the face mask, so you're like really separated. And I said, would you be able to eat lemon cake if I brought you lemon cake? And the woman, all I could see were her eyes. She said, oh, yes. I said, I'll see you tomorrow. And I came home, and I make a very mean lemon cake. Molly, you give me your address when I can. The most expensive part is mailing that sucker. So I brought it back into the post office, and she started to cry. And I got a little note yesterday signed from your friends at the post office. Now, this isn't about me. This is about, it was just an example of being able to think about other people and the small things that we can do right now, that I had to smile for the next 2 days because I thought of her face and that they'll eat lemon cake. And the other day, 2 children stopped by, and I opened the door, and they had put cookies on our front door because we had given them some things to build a fort with. So the children came back with cookies. So I think right now, part of that alignment, that why, might even be, what is it that I can do today to make a difference with someone? Because that also, again, refuels the energy that we have. And energy comes from connecting. That's what energy is, it's connection. It's when sparks fly and it works. So let me ask you all a question. What is it in your heart of hearts would be the best thing that could come out of what we're experiencing right now?